I love the way you talk about that. Because I think we all do it. We think too far into the future,
Yeah.
and we miss today. We miss the juice, the fun, the greatness that's happening today because we're so focused on too far in the future. And so I love that you shared that because that's an issue that I've probably had in my life. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about procrastination. And I think if for me personally, I think if you do have a high level of desire to make progress, to do good today, you tend to procrastinate less
Yep.
because you're focused on today. Like, what's my day going to look like today? How am I going to achieve whatever it is that I want to achieve today? Let's focus on today. Tomorrow's going to come anyways. So
Yep.
tomorrow's going to happen anyways. I mean, you can't stop it. It's going to happen. The sun's going to rise, the sun's going to fall, the sun's going to rise. And so if we can just stay in the present and stay focused on today's activities, I think we can make a little bit of a better progress. And so when you think about mistakes that you could honestly say that you've made, because I know I've made my share of mistakes.
Oh, sure.
I've said stupid things. I've screwed up business deals. I've made bad investments. You name it. I've made lots and lots of mistakes. I've procrastinated. I've been lazy. I've all of the above. And so I want you to share with our audience, what sort of mistakes have you made that maybe you've learned from?
Oh, man. Chasing the wrong thing for the wrong reasons. And that's probably the biggest one. I'll give you a funny example because I've been writing about it recently is, so I grew up in the 80s. That was, again, I know that's ancient history for some people, but that's when MTV was just starting out. That's when music videos were this new way to experience bands. And so for me, especially being around the military, heavy metal was a thing because I was around heavy metal tanks and airplanes and everything else all the time. And so I loved Motley Crue, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. And now not only could I hear these bands, but I could see them. And obviously when you're seeing a music video, it's the best stuff the band wants you to see about them. So it's the limousine rides and the airplane rides and the 40,000 screaming fans. And as a young, impressionable military brat who didn't know a lot about the world except having lived in Japan for a couple of years, I was like, I want to be a rock star. Like, that is the bomb. And so I remember I saved up my money. I got an electric guitar. I got a small amp. And I was like, okay, musical gods, come bless me with talent. And I remember, I learned, if you've ever heard Judas Priest's Breaking the Law, I think they've even had it maybe on commercials now on TV. I learned the basic riff for Breaking the Law, and that was the extent of my musical career. And part of it was, we can talk about this, is motive, right? My motive was self-serving. I wanted the adulation, I wanted the fans, I wanted the rides, I wanted the fame. I didn't want to put in the work. I didn't understand that Eddie Van Halen dedicated his life to learning how to make a guitar do things that no one else had ever made it do, or Jimmy Page or Jimi Hendrix, or these just rock gods. And so, I didn't take music lessons. I didn't join the band. And it was terrible because I was just like, what did I learn from that? The guitar sat in the corner of my room probably for 6 months, and then it became part of a yard sale. And I mean, that's obviously a small, minor mistake, but the mistakes, and I come to a point in my life where I don't see them as mistakes. I see them as lessons. Because ultimately, everything we do, we believe we're doing for a reason until we believe we're doing it for a reason that is going to serve something. And when we do things that are going to serve us, we get a result sometimes that is self-serving, and that's not always a great thing. And what I've really learned to appreciate is put my energy into things that are going to serve other people, because that's where the real fulfillment in life is. And to have someone come up to me and say that my book changed their life is the most humble and gratifying thing that I've ever experienced, because it's like, how could something that I say, especially with my first book, which I thought was so difficult to write because I was so anxiety ridden over, could I actually finish writing a book? But to have people say that is incredibly gratifying. And so you realize, what is my motive for doing anything in my life? If my motive feels good or doesn't feel good for me, that's one thing. But if it's good for me, and writing both my books has been good for me, and it's good for other people, then those two definitions being true, we can determine that it serves a greater good. And so if my motive for doing anything is serving a greater good, then I'll put as much energy into that as possible. And ultimately, if we go back to kind of that process for accomplishing anything, the greater good I know something I'm doing can serve, the more incentive I'm going to use to tap into more of my potential.
And so when you talk about greater good, I think some people forget that if you help enough people get what they want, I mean, you'll get everything you could ever imagine, at least in my life. I mean, I wake up every day and I go, all right, how can I make the world a little bit better? How can I
Yeah.
make my teams better? How can I make the family better? How can I make my kids better? Every day I try to think, how can I make, just this world, this, I'm a little speck in the universe, right? How can I make this little area a little bit better? And it's amazing how many opportunities come my way, how many great people I get to associate with, how many wonderful people I know and I've gotten to know. And yeah, you're right. I mean, there's nothing like that person that and by the way, I am that person to other people all the
Yeah.
time as well.
Yep.
Like I'm that person that will send, Anthony Robbins a note and say, hey dude, you changed my life, man.
Yeah.
I'm that person that
Yeah.
I'll text somebody on social media and I'll say, you know what you're doing is you're making the world a better place. And you don't know me. You probably, we may never meet, but I just want to let you know just a little something that you're special, you're important, and I notice you. And it's because I think, and I'm a big believer, and as well as I'm sure you are, in frequencies. And I believe that frequencies, if we're on the right frequency, life tends to work out a little bit better.
Yep.
I can always tell when I'm on the wrong frequency, and I can always tell when other people are on the wrong frequency.
Yeah.
It's just because they're repelling, okay,
Yep.
versus attracting. And so I spend a lot of my time understanding that, as well as I listen to frequencies. As a matter of fact, I'm doing I just finished a 21-day program for soak.com,
Okay.
and SOAAK. And it's a frequencies with my voice in there. And it's pretty cool. And they got all kinds of different frequencies for all kinds of issues and challenges and whatever. But I don't know, what are your thoughts on frequencies and the law of attraction, quantum physics, all that
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah. No. So I can tell you without question, I believe in higher power. And my belief is that there is a frequency that is unique to each of us, to that higher power. And so first, I mean, hopefully it's obvious, but I absolutely agree with the concept of frequencies too, right? Because you can tell, I think, certainly you and I have had that experience, but I would imagine a lot of your audience has too, where you walk into a room and either you notice someone right away or they notice you right away. And it's just like, wow. And I've seen it in my gym where I connect with people and it's created relationships. I went to a Tony Robbins event in 2017. I went to Date with Destiny down in Palm Beach. And as I was leaving the airport, this Uber came up and I had requested it and someone else requested it. And we had been friends ever since. So we've been friends for 5 years now because we both went to the Tony Robbins event. We had dinner one night. She's a Canadian woman, brilliant, entrepreneur, fantastic person. And so there's absolutely something to the frequency. Then the question becomes, if you get really focused on you and how you can serve the world, my happenstance or my perception, at least at this point in my life, is that you tighten up your frequency. And we all, and especially, Daniel, think about it today. We live in an age where, one, we can connect, see each other instantly and have instant communication from anywhere in the world virtually. But just with the power of the internet, 100 years ago, our ancestors would take 30 or 40 years literally to find out information that we can find out in minutes. I mean, that is phenomenal to me. And so when I look at what's going on today and all the stuff that's going on in social media, I've got a young friend of mine who is just starting out as an entrepreneur, and she's just coming out with her clothing line. She's launching on Saturday. She could be more excited. I'm so happy for her. But what we're coming to is a place where we all have the ability to express ourselves on an individual level that is unprecedented in human history. Like if you think back to post-World War II, certainly here in the US, we became a factory. Men became a factory. Like we're processing data, we're processing machines, we're doing all this stuff. And now we're to a place where individual identity and expression of that identity is something to be celebrated and something that we can really absolutely harness. So it's amazing to me. And to me, that is just speaking to the idea of frequency. And when you really tune into the idea of serving some other people and as many people as you can, or how can you make the biggest impact on the world? When you ask yourself those questions, your mind is going to find an answer for you.
Thank you for watching our short clips on Alonzo Academy. If you'd like to watch the next short clip, click here. If you'd like to watch the entire podcast, click here.